Hey everybody, it's Tamara Jones, your baker in the basement, and welcome back to my tiny basement kitchen. Today it is St. Patrick's Day. Yes, I've left this to the absolute last second because I'm insane. But let's celebrate St. Patrick's by making a very special treat. This recipe comes to us from Sweeta Polita. If you haven't heard of her, definitely give her a Google. I will leave a link in the description. And it is a chocolate stout cake. And the frosting I'm going to put on it is sort of an invention of my own. It is a Bailey's Irish Cream American Buttercream. I'm going to have to come up with a better title. That's too many creams. Can you ever have too many creams? So let's go over our ingredients. To start off, that is 1.5 cups of butter, cubed. A nice tall boy, a Guinness Stout. It's beer. Anyway, a cup of cocoa powder, 3 cups of flour, 3 cups of granulated sugar, 2¼ teaspoons of baking powder, a teaspoon of salt, 2/3 of a cup of sour cream, and 3 eggs. And it's best if you get the sour cream and the eggs to be room temperature. If you're making a Guinness cake, you're going to need some Guinness. So, ooh! Oh my god! The beer's as excited as we are. Oh geez, okay. Let's get that in here. Oh wow. Beer everywhere. Okay, 1.5 cups. Ooh, frothy. Okay, no big. Spills happen. There's still about 1/3 of a can of this, so we'll save that for a treat for later. I don't actually drink. I'll find somebody who drinks. Anyway, I don't drink, but it doesn't stop me from using it in my baked goods. It's good, trust me. So the next thing you do, you take this beautiful stout, put it in a medium saucepan. The original recipe might have said to use a big pot, but this is what I've got. I've done it before, and it works this way, so I'm not worried. Sometimes when your kitchen is tiny, you don't have, 86,000 pots to work with, so you gotta make do. So just get all your butter and your booze in there. And we're gonna put that on medium heat until the butter is nice and melted. Just so you can indeed see that I've got the butter and the Guinness going over medium heat over here. I also have my cupcake pans already lined. I've got these super cute green polka dot cupcake liners and some regular green cupcake liners. They're both from Wilton. While we're waiting for the butter and the beer to get all friendly, we're just going to whisk together our dry ingredients. So we've got our flour, our sugar, our baking powder, and our salt. Whoops. I am just butterfingers today. I am just all thumbs. Not the cocoa, though. Do not put the cocoa in here. The cocoa has a special destiny. In any case, just get that combined. Just give her a whisk. Doesn't need to be perfect. Just getting everything all nice and friendly. Shooby-dooby-doo-wah-wah. Da-da-ba-da-ba-da. Okay. So that's all good. My butter is still melting, so we just need a few more minutes here. That's the oven done preheating. We've preheated it to 350. Are you all melted yet, Mr. Butter? Yeah, you could just stop right here. You could just have hot, buttered beer. Just forget it. Just get drunk. It's St. Patrick's Day. Baker in the basement does not endorse irresponsible drinking. Just wanted to show you that's all nice and melted. Okay, so the butter's all melted, so we're taking that off the heat. Just going to bring it over here. Whole apartment smells like beer. Whew! It is beer in here. Okay, so the next part is to sift in our cup of cocoa powders. This is why we didn't put this in with the other dry ingredients. Just gonna sift that guy in there. Where's my friend the fast forward button? Ah! Cocoa everywhere! Cocoa everywhere and beer everywhere! It's a choco stout apocalypse! I'm only being slightly dramatic. Okay, I'm just gonna knock the flour off the whisk and use it to press through last little bit of cocoa. Just whisk together your cocoa and beer and butter mixture. And it's going to look so good and so rich and so thick and delicious, but trust me, do not drink it at this point. Do not. It is so gross. I made that mistake the first time I tried this recipe. I thought, that looks good. And I spilled a little on my arm and I just, nope, and my face just about imploded. It was not... It is extraordinarily bitter at this point. But the smell of stout and butter and cocoa, if you don't get this flavor combination, by this point you'll be starting to get it. Now I'm just going to take this and very carefully I'm just pouring it into a couple of heat-proof bowls because we just want this to cool down a bit. Okay, so while that's cooling, we're going to get our eggs and our sour cream going. And you could crack this right into the mixing bowl, but I've cracked enough weird eggs that I like to crack them in their own bowl first, and then add them to the bowl where everything else goes, just in case there's like a freaky one. These eggs, however, are perfect, so in they go. Sour cream. In it goes. I always keep my spatula just on a bowl that I've used, just in case I need it again. Because, I don't know about you, I don't like washing 28 spatulas, so I just try to keep it aside and ready to go for when I need it. One thing they don't tell you when you're watching baking shows is that stand mixers are crazy noisy. They're very loud. So I don't have a specialized microphone yet. So once I turn this guy on, you're not going to be able to hear me. But what I'm going to do is turn it on to about level 4 and let it mix for 3 minutes until the sour cream and the eggs are super best buddies, all homogenized. And then we're going to hang out and just relax for like 10 minutes because I really want the cocoa and beer mix behind me to be cool enough that I'm not going to accidentally cook my eggs when I put everything together. So we're going to do 3 minutes of mixing. We're going to take a 10-minute break and let that cool. And if you don't have a stand mixer, don't stress, because I've done this recipe before several times just using a hand mixer. So no worries. This is the first time actually I'm using a stand mixer for this recipe. So hopefully we're going to have good results. All right, I'm going to flicker on and we'll see you in 10 or 15 minutes. Loud, right? Loud! Oh, and if you find that it's sticking to the sides, just stop it for a second. Just give her a scrape down. Make sure you scrape the bottom. You don't want to get to the end of your cupcake making and then you're scraping out your batter and you've got a big unmixed clump of sour cream in the bottom. That's going to make someone's cupcake is going to be real disappointing. All right, and back on. So we've got our stout, butter, and cocoa mixture. It's still a little on the warm side, so I'm going to pour it in very slowly while I have this running, just to make sure I don't end up with scrambled eggs. And I'm going to have this on speed 4, which on a hand mixer is like just short of medium.
Seems like only yesterday I sailed from out of Cork. A wanderer from Erin's Isle I landed in.
I've got a little bit of drip off. It happens. It's a real cooking show. I do real cooking. It's messy sometimes. One of the benefits of having a tiny kitchen, that much less stuff to clean. Just give her a wipe. Anyway, you don't need to let this mix that long because you just want to make sure that it's all incorporated. It only takes a minute or so. Again, get in there, scrape up the bottom, make sure you don't have any chunks of anything hiding, but it should all be nice and smooth. Okay, I'm going to turn this back on to low speed and just slowly drop in my dry ingredients. And you do want to do that slowly. If you dump in the whole thing, even on low, you're going to get a big old cloud of white. So, take your time. I don't know how many times, I think I must say that a lot on my videos. Just take your time. Just breathe, relax. We're having fun. We're making tasty food. No stress, man. Let's just chill. And, when I say, hey, we're having fun, no stress, let's just chill, that's as much for me as it is for you. Because, man, we all got so much stress. Like, let's just take a minute and let's just make something and just revel in the joy that is taking a bunch of random, you know, inedible ingredients and turning them into something fantastic. Let's just enjoy that. Again, I spilled some. No big. I know my table is clean. Poof. And just one last scrape down to make sure everything's in there proper. One last scrape down, another 20 seconds of mixing maybe. And we're of course adding that flour mixture on low. Because once you add the flour, I think I've said it in other videos, once your flour gets wet, you're developing gluten. And in a cake, you don't want a lot of that. You want just enough for it to hold itself together. Too much gluten, and you get bread. And we're not making focaccia today. When we're making focaccia, I'll let you know. So the next step, we can drop our mixer bowl here. Tap and scrape away any extra batter. Maybe put that aside if you've got a very special cameraman who deserves to lick a beater. Or just save it for yourself if not, whatever. Now last time I did this, I think I did 2 generous cookie scoops per cup. Now I have a larger scoop, but I've found that if I use the larger scoop, they get too full. And they overbake and they don't overbake, they overflow the sides. And then you end up with a weird, crunchy outer ring and a sunken middle. And it's just not what we're looking for. So I would actually rather underfill these a bit than overfill them. Because if they're underfilled, you can always hide that with frosting. But if they're overfilled, it really has a negative effect on the final shape and texture of the cupcake. But that's just my opinion.
There came Brannigan, Flanagan, Milligan, Gilligan, Duffy, McGuffey, Malacky, Malone, Rafferty, Lafferty.
By the way, if you're doing this and you notice that a couple of the cupcakes aren't quite as full as the others, just pop in a little more batter, just even them out. Alright, so when your trays are full, just give them a very light tap. That's just to knock out any giant air bubbles. You don't want to knock out all the air, you know, but just any big bubbles. Then we're going to pop them in the oven for about 18 to 20 minutes at 350 degrees until a toothpick comes out almost clean. If it's got a crumb on it, don't worry. We just don't want goo in the middle. We're not making lava cakes. When we're making lava cakes, I'll let you know. Okay, so I've got some cupcakes still in the oven. I've got some cooling. Now it's time to make the frosting. Now this is, I believe I mentioned, a Bailey's Irish Cream American Buttercream, which is too many words. So let's just call it Bailey's frosting. Non-spawn, by the way. I have no connection with Guinness. I have no connection with Bailey's. I'm just trying to think of all the boozy Irish things I can put in a cake. So this is about a ½ pound of butter. About a whole cup of butter. This frosting is very forgiving. If you're off by like a tablespoon or so, the world's not going to end. So if you're a tiny bit short or a tiny bit over, no stress. We are just going to beat the ever-living heck out of this butter. And you can beat it by hand if you want to get real muscly, or you can use a hand mixer, whatever works for you. Just get that butter good and creamy. Just like when you're mixing anything, take a second, scrape the sides down. And we're going to start adding our icing sugar. Now this is a double recipe, by the way, because this made like 36 cupcakes, which is an insane amount of cupcakes. This made about 36. So I'm doing double my usual icing recipe, which means I need a whole cup of butter, 6 cups of icing sugar, and I'll work out the flavoring when we get there. So once your butter's nice and whipped and soft, you start adding the icing sugar. Like I said, you want 6 cups. I was half joking about the flavoring to add later, by the way. We're going to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla and about a 1/4 cup of Baileys, which sounds like a lot, but remember this is icing 36 cupcakes. Hey John, how much is a shot? Like, if I was measuring a shot in like a cup, like is a tablespoon? How does a tablespoon or a 1/4 cup measure up to a shot? What's more, what's less? You're Mr. Bartender.
So a shot is about 3 ounces.
So is that volume or weight? 3 fluid ounces or 3?
Fluid ounces.
I guess it doesn't matter when it's liquid. So how much is that in cups? Isn't a cup 8 fluid ounces? If a shot is 3 ounces and a cup is 8 ounces.
So it'd be about 2.5.
So 1/3 of a cup is a shot.
Yeah.
Well, it's a little more than a shot, because it would be 9 ounces if it was.
Yeah.
Okay, so using a 1/4 of a cup is less than a shot in the entire recipe. Yep. You see, I'm not trying to get you plastered. If you're trying to get plastered, do that on your own time. If you're into booze, go on Instagram and look up Beverage Soul. He's the one you want to talk to about booze. I'll bake, he'll booze. That's 1 cup, and I'm just going to keep measuring and adding as I go until I get to 6. I have this on low, so again I don't have a giant white cloud.
Rafferty, Lafferty, Donnelly, Connolly, Dooley, O'Hooley, Muldowney.
And 6. I'm going to turn it up just a smidge. Kind of a clumpy, buttery sugar mixture. It's almost like a dough, and that's about what we want right now. We're going to start adding the liquid flavorings. Okay, so a couple of teaspoons. Just happen to have a half measure here, so we'll do 4 of those. I am like so bad at being prepared sometimes. I need a crew. I need like a group of people to do all my mise en place for me. Not going to happen. So I'm going to turn this back on medium-low. And then I'm going to stream in that 1/4 cup of Baileys, and then we're going to check the texture. Because depending on how humid it is in your space, depending how hot out it is, you're going to get slightly different results. And if we find it's too firm, we're going to add a little bit of milk. If we find it's too soft, we're going to add a little icing sugar to bring it back up. Alright, and I'm going to turn this up a little bit, just to get that Baileys worked in. I'm going to keep going up, because I want to get it real nice and whipped and smooth. Can you hear me? Ooh, you can really smell the Baileys. Wow, okay. Icing spatula here. Give it a scrape down, make sure we don't have clumps of butter hanging out in there anywhere. Looks pretty good, actually. Now I want this frosting for piping, so I just want it to be soft enough that it's malleable, but that it's also going to hold its shape. So I think that's actually just about right. I'm going to whip it just for another minute, just to make sure I've got a little air worked in there so it's not too dense. And then we're ready to pipe. I don't even know how that happened. I'm going to have to like rewind and go back and see how this happened. I think some frosting got on me. That's okay. That is okie dokie. Now I've got a lot of cupcakes to frost. I'm just going to show you guys a couple, just to show you my favorite frosting techniques. Okay, so you just pop your piping tip into your piping bag and snip off the end. You can do this without a tip as well. I know not everybody has a huge collection of tips. I'm actually planning on doing a short video talking about different ways to frost cupcakes with and without tips. So hang around for that. Just get some frosting in there. I don't know about you, but my piping bags actually have a little line that's like, don't fill past here. The world will end. It doesn't end, it just makes it harder to control your piping bag if you overfill it. Alright, so I've just got a few of my cupcakes that are cooled down. You want to make sure that they're room temperature or cooler, or your frosting is just going to melt right off of it. Okay, so first, simplest way. Oh, my frosting is a little bit firm, that's okay. Start in the middle and just work your way in a circle all the way around to get a simple rose shape. See? Little rose. Simple. Classic way, if you like that big, tall center, little squirt in the center first, and then come from the outside. Build around that center squirt for a nice, tall mound of frosting. And this one, I'm just going to do kind of like that one, but not as tall. So like this guy, but smaller. Starting from the middle, but then you don't do an extra dollop in the middle. You just move from it. So you can see these two are very similar. This guy's just got that little extra bit of height because we started with the mound on the inside. Now one last touch. I happen to have these gorgeous pot of gold sprinkles. Blended by Sweet Apolita, but I bought them through How to Cake It. Just going to pour some of these out. Gorgeous. And we are just going to take a few of those, make sure everybody gets at least one piece of gold. Because the beauty of this sprinkle set is that your cupcake is that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So make sure you get that whole rainbow on there. Make sure you get some gold on there. And you can use whatever sprinkles you want. You could just use green jimmies. You could use shamrock shaped sprinkles. I have some of those too. But I just thought, you know, these deserve just a little bit of extra fancy rainbow and gold treatment. And that, my friends, is how you make chocolate Guinness cupcakes with Bailey's frosting. Dig in, share with a friend, have yourself a safe and wonderful St. Patrick's Day. Drink responsibly if you're going to drink. Eat cupcakes responsibly if you're going to eat cupcakes. You'd have to eat the whole batch to get drunk, but I don't know, they're pretty good. So have a great time. Thanks for watching. Hit like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and I will see you next time.
Content and pain or Elton, dear old Donegal.